The Global Community Conversation, a Various Fields series special, Various Dialogues. Welcome everybody to another episode of Various Fields. This is another edition of our global community conversations, Various Dialogues, and I'm Hazen Fields II.
I'm Hazen Fields III.
I'm Lex.
And we're here with a wonderful human being in our community, one of the people that we meet in our neighborhood, Mr. Nate Altimari. Thank you for being here today. And Nate Altimari is, I'm going to use this phrase and he's going to clarify it. He is over a choral group called Rock Voices. Now that's a simplified version of what he does, but Nate, tell us a little bit more. Let me hear your title as it should be said.
Sure. So I direct two adult choruses in the capital region called Rock Voices Albany, and then Rock Voices Saratoga. So I'm the director, so I'm musically directing the group in that capacity. And then separately, take off that hat, different hat is we have an organization, Rock Voices, that oversees a whole bunch of these choruses across the Northeast, and I'm the director of growth and development for Rock Voices as an organization.
Now you can see why I just said over and allowed you to just go right into it. But we're so grateful for you to be here with us today. I would love to chime in as to what I've seen of Rock Voices, but why don't you explain to our friends what is Rock Voices about?
Yeah, so Rock Voices is locally is an adult community chorus that requires no audition. It's open to any adult. It's a group that sings rock music, and when we perform with a live band. Mm-hmm. So the group is locally, like I said, two groups here in the capital region, Albany and Saratoga. They're both nearly 100, if not more than 100 singers.
Wow.
And we get together, we learn a whole bunch of music, get ready for a concert, and then we put on a performance with a live band. And it's all familiar music that people know.
Fantastic. I was blown away by looking at some of the music that you've been doing on the website. Some people might think that you're tackling, very remedial type of music.
Yeah.
You guys are doing stuff by Sting and complicated rhythms, and so. One question is, how do you choose the songs?
So there's a sort of a two-part process. We have a portal on our website where members of the choir can suggest songs that they're interested in doing, and so people are always chiming in and mentioning songs. And so we'll look at that, and as we're picking songs for an upcoming season, we'll look and see what has a lot of suggestions or songs that are frequently suggested. We do thematic seasons, so sometimes we're picking music that all fits into into a scene or a theme. So this theme for the summer is one-hit wonders, so it's a whole bunch of music by artists that never cracked the top 40 otherwise.
Right.
But in the past we did a Motown season, we did a season that was all Queen, we've done British Invasion, we've done the Beatles, and that sort of thing. And then sometimes it's just a nice eclectic mix of popular rock music over the last 70 years or so.
Honestly, my wife would have loved the whole season of Queen. But how do you get started in building a business like this? Do we all have to start in our mother's garage? There's no audition, so I'm trying to find out how do you find these people across several states even?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the group started, Rock Voices as an organization started with one choir in Massachusetts, and it quickly became clear that Rock Voices was going to turn into something really special. Interest grew almost immediately to the point where the director, Tony, his name is Tony Lechner, he really decided he needed to have more locations because there was interest outside of his geography. And so it really just sort of sprung from there. And we added a second chorus. This was back in 2012. We added a second chorus in a neighboring town, and then another one up in Vermont. And then one or two every season since then, give or take, to the point now where we have 30. We're launching our 34th choir this fall. The directors are people that have a background in vocal music or ensemble leadership. They don't have to have been a chorus director. We have folks that are, we're band directors, or that we're in a cappella groups, or, any number of different types of things that show us that they are capable of that leadership role, in front of a group. And then, we have a starting night, and everybody shows up, and we introduce ourselves, and everybody is handed music, and we just start working right away.
Yeah, that's good. That was the thing I was also interested in, just like as a director, how did you feel like you got personally involved? Were you there from the beginning? Did you hear about it through the grapevine?
Yeah, so without getting too in the weeds on it, so 2012 was when Tony started Rock Voices, and I think in 2015 he started asking me if I was interested in starting a group out here. Tony and I went to college together at UMass Amherst, where we both were studying music. So I've known him for years and years and years, and so he started asking in 2015. And at that time I had young kids, and I had a job that had me working a couple of nights a week, and so it really wasn't something I could fit in. When my schedule changed and when my kids got a little older, my wife and I agreed that a night out for work was going to be an okay thing. And so so 2018 was when we started our first group here in the Capital Region in Albany.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's I hear what you're saying, and for a lot of people, it may sound like it happens magically, but there's a lot of work that's done. So can you give us a little behind the scenes of what is it that you have to do before
starting one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really starts with for us identifying an area that we think makes sense for a chorus. An area that is, has socioeconomic diversity, and that has cultural diversity, and that has usually educational institutions nearby, colleges and such nearby, that has demonstrated an interest in performing arts, right? That we know has community theater, and it has community band ensembles, and it has lots of different outlets already in that vein, but maybe doesn't have something like us, right? A community chorus is typically doing traditional choral repertoire, and so rarely have we found an area that already has a rock chorus, right? So if we can find an area that looks to be the right space for a choir, the next step is trying to identify a director in that area. So using social media, casting a wide net for current music teachers in the school districts, retired music teachers, educators, people who are involved with maybe barbershop or a cappella or something like that. And so step two is finding a director. And then once we have those two pieces, it comes together pretty quickly. We have to find a place to rehearse, and then we just start promoting through targeted marketing and through newspaper, and we try to develop some interest. We'll do something like this, right, where we'll get a director in front of an audience in the area, but then also newspaper and radio if we can, TV if we can, and try to saturate the area with awareness that this thing is coming. The group is going to be starting, and then we have a first night of rehearsal, and people sign up and they show up, they bring friends. We encourage people to come back the next week and bring friends, and the groups start small typically. The groups start with 17, 20, 25 people, and then they grow sometimes really quickly. So we have choirs now in our organization that are almost 150 singers, and we all do the same music, so all 30 plus of our choirs do the same program in any given season. And so when it comes to concert time, we can share our singers, right? As long as they're free, we'll have people that will go into Massachusetts and go and sing there, or sing down in the city, or in the Philadelphia area, or wherever we've got a choir, and they'll basically show up on concert day and sing a show with a whole room full of strangers that they don't know. And by the end of that show, it's a pretty tight-knit kind of community.
That's awesome. I was going to ask, because this is the thing I'm most curious about in this thing. Is it would you say that is it a tough pitch? Is it like you find people who are immediately like, oh man, I'm so happy because I've always wanted to share my voice, or is it one of those things where because they haven't sung, it's a giant choir, it's a giant community, we're like, oh man, I'm nervous. I imagine it's between, but like, what's their experience?
I think it's a little bit of both, and it depends on the area. An area like Albany that is heavily populated. We have a lot of people in the area, and also a lot of communities that are adjacent. Right, we have a lot of towns that are right up next to each other. I think in this area we found that there was obviously a need for this, and it became apparent within a few seasons that this was something that people really were looking for in the region. There are areas where we find the groups grow more slowly. We're trying to crack that code. We're trying to figure out what the difference is and why one group might be small and the other group, in the same amount of time might be really big. But in general, what we found is that this is something that's missing. An opportunity to meet like-minded people in a safe space in the second half of your life is a rarity, right? As a parent, my social circle is my kids' friends' parents, right? That's my social circle, whether I like them or not.
But he likes them all.
He likes them all.
Thankfully, we've connected with some really wonderful people. But the notion of meeting people with similar interests at 45 or 50 years old is really daunting, right? And so we have this community where people walk in and they're strangers, and truly by the end of a first season, they have made really close friends, people that they travel with or they go and sing in concerts with. We have couples that have sprung from our choirs, people that met each other, for the first time in this choir. And it's a really remarkable thing. The community and social side of it almost replaces the music side of it. The music is why they come, but they come back because they found this community.
I absolutely love the fact that you're bringing the community into this, and like with all things that we try to also represent, we want to make this an equal community space so people can understand what's in the community, and like you said, have the awareness that not all of these third spaces, like we lose so many coffee cafes, to the sterilization of the post-2020 and the 2021 stuff like that. So I don't want to bring up the sad times, but people like you and organizations that you host help with those, close-knit safe spaces that you're representing. So I very much appreciate that in your efforts. But with that being said, because you were talking about a span of 13 plus years, so is there a rotating door in these kind of choirs, or where do the older members go now if they're not still with you?
There definitely is a sort of come and go mentality, and once you're involved, because there's no audition, right? Nobody has a responsibility to say, I'm leaving, I'll let you know if I'm coming back. If they snowbird, we might lose them for the winter, right? Down in Florida or whatever. So we have folks that are there for the summer because it's less busy, but the school year is tough. Right? So we have people that come and go, and they're reliably there. I know next fall, a handful of people that aren't there right now will be there. There are people that were there when we first started our group in 2018 that still sing in our group, and then there are people that have moved on to other things, or life got in the way, or their circumstances changed, or whatever that might be, or Rock Voices was a gateway to them finding something different performance-wise that they didn't really know they had in them. So I have members that started with us, had never really sung in public, and since then have moved on to solo opportunities, or singing in front of a band, or doing musical theater in the area, and that has become the thing that replaced Rock Voices for them, which is fine with me, right? And I never feel like we have a shortage of people, and it makes me sad when people leave, but I understand that they're leaving for a reason that's important to them, right? And maybe they come back, and maybe they don't, and that's also totally fine.
But it's wonderful that you become also like the incubator space for all these unknown or unvisited talents and other people, right? To say that you've launched several other famous bands in the community as well is fantastic. Yeah, we've definitely had some impact or influence in the area. We have members that sing in a
member who sings in a Pink Floyd band called. It's escaping me. I'll have to. We'll fix that. We'll fix that one.
We might not, but it's okay. That's all right.
We'll put in the description below.
Yeah.
One of our more recent singers is an incredible woman named Amanda Odom, who now is in. She is doing Dreamgirls at SLOC this season, and she is just a spectacular singer. And so we have folks that have, tried out for bands, that are in bands, that have started bands, that are doing karaoke now, and now that's their thing. They become like a karaoke rat, where they're there 3 or 4 nights a week in different karaoke. But they're all people that would have identified as non-singers or car singers or shower singers before Rock Voices. So affording people that safe opportunity to come and sing in public for the first time in a truly judgment-free zone is, I think, the hallmark of what Rock Voices brings to the table. This notion of, everybody's got some music in them.
Yes.
Come and share that. Come and share that to whatever capacity you're able. Right.
Well, I have 2 things I want to just tag right on. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that person right there, way in the back, they actually are saying, I can't do it. I don't know how to do this. I that would never be me because I don't know. What do you say to a person that really says?
Well, so first, patently wrong. No, the thing is, we have people in our groups across our organization that if they were in a situation where they might be critiqued, where they were in front of a panel, they would be labeled non-singers,
Right.
for sure. Because we have this open policy, they're surrounded by people who are going to be supportive regardless of what their ability is. And there are enough people around them making music that if they feel like they're not quite there, all they have to do is just not sing for a little bit. Right? They're sort of metaphorically, they can hide behind somebody near them until they're ready. And so maybe they struggle with, some people struggle with matching pitch, right, or singing in time. Some people just struggle with, retaining lyrics, right? So we perform memorized, and it's 15 songs a season, so we're off book. And I always have people that say, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And the answer is, great. Don't sing the parts you don't know. Right. You'll be fine. And there really is a spot for anybody. And maybe maybe you just hold the curtain. Right.
Well, the follow-up to that for me is that, when I'm listening to you talk, you don't sound like a person that's just doing a job. It sounds like you have a passion for it. Is there a quintessential moment that you can share that made you say, this is my heart song?
Yeah.
As opposed to doing something.
Absolutely. So there were 2. We first started our group in Albany, and we had 17 singers. We were rehearsing in a small church in Del Mar, and we had 2 or 3 rehearsals under our belt. I'd never led a group in this capacity before, and we would take a little break just to relax in between, 2-hour sessions or so. Have 15 minutes, and it was always quiet. People on their phone, outside, making a call, doing whatever it is, but it wasn't social. It was 17 individuals who went their separate way and then came back. And one week, I brought a pack of Oreo cookies and a box of little bags of chips and a little rack of bottles of water, and just put it on the back table and said, have yourself, help yourself to some refreshments. And that night, 4th rehearsal in, people started talking and connecting. And from that moment, it changed, and it became a social group, a community group, and not a musical group. A social group that did music on the side. So that was a big, and I noticed it the moment it happened. This was it. This was the catalyst for a new dynamic here. And then that first season's concert, 17 singers and a band in a church in Glenmont, in Del Mar, Bethlehem, and 55 singers from surrounding choruses in Massachusetts and Connecticut and Vermont came and showed up at concert time and flooded the stage. So instead of that little sparse small group, we now had this 70-person choir on stage, all singing the music. They're all following me, and we did Love Train by the OJs,
Okay.
and I sing along for the most part, mostly because I'm mouthing words.
Right.
And I was so choked up by the sound coming from this group that I couldn't sing. You can't sing. Nobody can sing through tears, right? But I was like tearing up, and I couldn't sing, and just this really incredible moment of pride. And the realization that this is gonna catch on, and that group went from 17 to 35, and almost overnight, it really felt like that. So those moments are the ones that really ring true for me.
It truly is amazing to have like just a small moment of like sharing a table with another individual, build up a community, you know. And if you want to be sharing your thoughts with this table, or even find out who we are going to invite to this table next, please don't forget to like,
share, and subscribe, and hit all the buttons.
See, I did one.
That was good. Good job.
All right, but back to the conversation.
So there's every once in a while there's a plug.
Is that sorry.
It's a natural conversation.
Very fluid.
A lot of practice.
That was the thing that I was actually wanted to comment on, which is like it's cool because you have such it's one thing, it's Rock Voices, it's a curated thing, but there's so much in it, which is you have the community aspect, then you have the idea of curating the art, and then you have the idea of like art, bringing people in who may be shy, but it might be they're shy of an audience or they're shy of their own voice, and then the idea that you're also bringing home a community member. Some might be really great at singing, but they haven't done it in a while. Some people maybe have never done it all, and there's such a range for anybody that is concerned about anything to kind of find a place almost naturally.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that like the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, oh wow, this is a perfect setup. But at the same time, it comes from such a genuine idea of, hey, you can sing too.
Yep.
You know,
Yes.
and I think that's just a very welcoming space. And the second thing is, what did you say about Oreos again? The perfect cookie.
Listen, I'm still delighted by the notion of hearing you weep through the chorus of people all over the world join hands, join the love train. You know,
It was the Let It Ride. Fell apart.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now we've talked a great deal about what Rock Voices are. I'd like to kind of pivot to you.
Sure.
You know, and your journey in music, or that which is important to you.
Yeah.
You know, so tell us a little bit about Nate.
So I went to school for music. So after high school, I went to college to play saxophone. That was it. That was the thing for me, and not like fun saxophone, like concert band saxophone. Music teacher saxophone, not like jazz ensemble saxophone. That wasn't for me. But so I went to school for that, and I think I was pretty much low man in the department. You know, I came in thinking, pretty fancy, and then I was like, so scales? That's it? just scales? That's all we're doing? Can I play anything other than scales? And it was literally a year of scales and arpeggios and long tones, and none of it felt rewarding musically. It was just it was all technique, it was all fundamentals. And a buddy of mine, I was in the marching band at UMass, and a buddy of mine in the band said, hey, we've got a little a cappella group. It's a 5-guy group. We do mostly old school doo-wop stuff. You want to come and check that out? So I went and checked that out, and I'd never really sung in public before, and it was the greatest thing I'd ever experienced. Like this idea of a small group of people making this music, and so that led to me auditioning for the vocal jazz ensemble, and the vocal jazz ensemble led to me changing majors to jazz voice performance. And so then I was working on, instead of scales, I was opening up the real book, and I was learning how to comp and singing and scatting through standards and stuff. And I got to work with some really remarkable people at UMass while I was there. Billy Taylor was there, and Max Roach was there, and Yusef Lateef was there, and Fred Tillis was there, like all of these really incredible people. And my voice teacher was this guy named Horace Clarence Boyer, who was when he was a teenager, he toured with Mahalia Jackson. And like just this extraordinary person. And he was the person that really said, this is the right direction for you. You should be going in this direction. And so voice sort of became the thing, and then I spent, 20 years working every other job, because that's what you do when you go to school for music, right? So, a little bit of this music, a little bit of that music, and walking dogs or working retail, or whatever that was. And then I met my now wife in Boston, and we picked up and moved here. She's from this area, so we moved here, and I left my social community and my music community, everybody in Boston. I left everybody in Boston where we had been living, and so it took a while to get some roots here in the Capital Region, and it really wasn't until Rock Voices that I felt like the Capital Region was home. Like I still was like, I'm a transplant, I'm from Massachusetts.
Right.
I didn't have a big social community, and then I met this small group of people, and it led to all of these really rewarding things through Rock Voices. So that's sort of how I came to Rock Voices. But the me outside of Rock Voices is I'm a dad, and I like trying to make pizza, and I hate trying to make bread dough, and I have dogs that drive me crazy, and a lawn that is always needing maintenance, and that's pretty normal guy stuff.
Well, there's a lot of conversation, and maybe not as much as before, about music in school and education. There are those who think that it's not necessary, and there are some people that think it's most important. I won't tell you where I land. I think it's pretty clear. But speak to that in terms of that.
I've seen it firsthand, and I went, in my middle school days, band was a in the middle of the day class. It was band class was in the middle of the day, or chorus was in the middle of the day. It was part of the curriculum. And by the time and now that I'm a parent and I have kids in the school district, a lot of that stuff happens after school. It's extracurricular. They might get a lesson during the day, or they might do this, but a lot of it falls outside of the blueprint for the normal school day. And so it does feel like it is becoming less important, or at least being seen as less important. The science is still very clear that music is a huge part of development of especially a children's mind. So it bums me out to see that, and I love that there are more and more community opportunities. We have things like ukulele groups, bands that get together, and we have community bands and community choruses and musical theater. There's so many theater companies in the Capital Region. It's crazy, and so there's so much for people to do. And I'm thankful that it's there for adults. I wish that there were more opportunities for younger people that didn't feel like an afterthought or second to athletics, right? Sports budgets are skyrocketing, and the money's being pulled from arts, right? That sort of thing. So that bums me out. But I think people will still find those opportunities, and people that have that thing in them will be able to continue doing it.
That's fantastic.
I wanted to jump in because my brother mentioned it earlier with COVID, and he kind of also mentioned it just with the community thing, which is first on a Rock Voices level. Did you notice a difference in just community? It doesn't even have to be music per se, but like after COVID, and then like what my brother's talking about, like third spaces and people coming together, and then I guess with that in the same way, and just as yourself, is that something where like, and that's what I say is like music brings people together, but also just seeing the act of people coming together for whatever art, whatever community thing, whatever it is. Have you noticed, I guess, a change in that since COVID? You know what I mean?
Yeah, COVID was tough for arts, right? It was tough for everybody. But for a group like ours, where we are singing in a room with each other, right? We're aspirating, and we're, particulates are flying everywhere, and we're right up next to each other. It was a really unsafe place to be.
Mhm.
You know, it was the studies were like, vocal groups in particular are the least safe place, right? And you know, so we shut down as soon as that became clear. You know, the second week of March of 2020, and so we did what we could, and we found that there was a calling to maintain that relationship with people virtually. Virtual music models rarely work, right?
Yeah.
There's too much delay, there's too much lag. You can't do anything real time musically. But we were able to at least come together once a week on Facebook Live and, you know, talk to each other, or you know, they would listen to me and we would talk through music, and then people would record themselves and submit videos and stuff. And so we found a way to keep people engaged. As soon as people really started feeling safe being out in public again, which wasn't immediately, right? And all agree that like the green light to be public was, there was a big delay before people came out. But as soon as it really started feeling safe for people to be in groups again, our population exploded. It was clear that people really needed this, right? And they needed it badly. And so we saw this need for our group, but then also to create more groups like ours. And so that's where all of our expansion has come in the last 4 years, or even 3 years. We've gone from, I think, 15 groups to almost 35 groups, because people are writing us and saying, hey, I live in northern New Jersey.
Wow.
Right.
We really need one of your groups here. Or I'm in Metro Philly. Do we have a group here? And so we're finding places because they're asking us for these groups, which has been really incredible. So
that's a beautiful thing. I think it's beautiful for all of us to recognize that we all need each other. You know, and that's where connection starts. And in saying that, you are our first guest that we've had that is directly connected to our new friend and advertising person, Mr. Paul Rudnick. Let's hear from Paul. You know, had we not known Paul, we might not have known you. And that speaks to a worldwide mindset, in my opinion, that we all are connected in some kind of way. What was the game? 6 degrees of separation for whatever. You know,
4.
I
I thought you said Connect 4, but
that can work. but yeah, but connection is necessary for us to thrive as a community, as a world, and clearly you've brought to the table that great snacks can bring the world together.
I'm telling you, man, when we have, you know, in concert, we're talking about our group, and part of my role as the director of this group is to make sure that everybody in the audience knows what we're talking about and what we do. And snacks comes up frequently. It's a big part of the thing, and it has become its own, you know, the snacks have become a big part of the culture. Those of us that are in leadership roles in Rock Voices often remark about the people that Rock Voices attracts. It is just this massive now community of genuinely wonderful people, just great people who are supportive and generous and caring and thoughtful and compassionate, and that's the cloth that Rock Voices is really made of. Is these really just remarkable people, and I know Paul, but only through his wife, who sings in our group. And within her second rehearsal, she made it clear that she was available to volunteer for whatever. How can I help? Right? How can I help? What can I do? And that's, I'd love to say that makes Gwen remarkable, but that's actually the quality that all of these people bring. They're all just genuinely there because they know how significant it is for people.
Well, just to remind people, we're here with Mr. Nate Altimari. He is over Rock Voices in both Saratoga and Albany area. We are going to be posting or putting up URLs so people can get to your various ways to contact you, as well as just the films of them singing, and it's wonderful. I've gotten a chance to watch it, and it's so wonderful. Now we've been talking about the voices, and speak to the musicians.
Yeah. So the musicians. So we all of our choirs perform with typically a 4-person band. The membership of that band changes depending on the program for that season and what instrumentation we need. But it's always bass, drums, guitar, and then sometimes it's either a keyboardist or a second guitar. That's the band. And in each of our locations, for the most part, we all have our own band. So I have a band that I built here that is specifically for Albany and Saratoga. In the city, we've got a band that is just for the city. In New England, because we have, I think, 16 or 17 choirs in New England, there are 4 bands that cover all of those choirs. So they'll get together and they'll do 3 or 4 or 5 shows each as a band. The process for them is, it's not a very luxurious musical experience for them, right? Like it is, here's the set list, spend some time learning it from the originals. Few weeks, maybe a month before the concert, here are some lead sheets to try to reinforce what you maybe have learned from the originals. And then it's 1 rehearsal as a band and 1 rehearsal with the choir and then a performance. And it took 6-7 years for me to really to construct a band membership that I know I can rely on. I know that they are going to do whatever they need to do to be prepared. And none of them knew each other. They're all strangers, and they've met, and now they're interconnected in that way, and they're sharing gig opportunities with each other as well. And they they don't live in the same town. They live all over northeastern New York. Really incredible musicians who have also we sort of jokingly say that they've drank the Kool-Aid, but they really have, right? They understand the significance of what Rock Voices is, that it is an opportunity for these folks to sing. It is an opportunity to raise money for charity. We raise money at every one of our concerts. We can talk to that in a minute if you want. And they understand that it's not a super luxurious performance experience, but it is an opportunity to be musical and to be able to share what they bring to the table with these extraordinarily appreciative vocalists. All the people in the choir, they know how special the bands are, and they show them how important they are to this final product. And they're also really strong players. Can put anything, the whole program of Queen, and they just they killed it, just killed it.
Yeah.
But then, we did a season of Motown. We brought in a 3-piece horn section and played a whole bunch of really fantastic stuff that, maybe your average general business band player might have played before, right? But the job is play the record, right? So here's how the original sounds. Please learn that. That's what we want to do, not a watered down version of it, not a simplified, interpretation of it, but the real thing. And these guys are fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So please forgive me. I'm going to try to ask 5 questions at once here.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to try to answer all of them with one answer.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
So,
because we heard about your resume, all right, and the rocky roads that you've gone through, going through this time building up several different communities, several different bands in several different states, right? And also understanding that the arts environment, the performance space is not what it used to be. Was there a heyday? Is there a heyday? Are we looking at it now, right? Or how are we, how would you rate the integration into the performance space today? Like, is it harder to get in? Is it easier to get in? Is there more of a need for it now? Or for those that you're trying to inspire to be part of your bands, like what is, not so much the secret, but like what patches are you hurdling or what stepping on to make this work?
Yeah, those are great questions. I wrote them all down. getting into performance spaces, part of that question is, it's not always easy, you know. So our groups typically rehearse in churches because churches are available and they're not terribly expensive and they have the right type of space. And a lot of times our smaller groups perform in churches because acoustically they make sense. Usually it's front facing, so you've got a place and an audience. As these groups grow though, then it necessitates a larger space. And so then we start looking at school districts, middle schools and high schools. And that's where it gets really challenging because we're battling music program performances or musical theater productions that are, you know, that occupy the stage for months. And then some, for lack of a better word, bureaucracy, where we have schools that they will not work with outside groups, or they will not work with an outside group that isn't a nonprofit. Our organization is a for-profit, although we hate that. It feels very corporate to say that, right? But, and so those challenges are real in all of our locations, finding a place. And the dream in each of our locations is to find a place that embraces us and understands the significance of what we do as well, and has said, as long as we have the space available, you're going to be able to do your performances here. We like what you do, we like what you bring to the table, and we'll embrace that for as long as we can. And we're getting there, I think about 80% of our choirs are now in places that we think are probably permanent performance homes, where we know as long as the date's available, we're good to go. We don't have to fight red tape. But occasionally we still have that thing come up where nothing is available, or a school district doesn't rent in the summer, and then how do we find room for a big group that needs a 700-person room when there really isn't one in that community, right? So that's really tough. And I don't remember any of the other questions. So there was one about your question about the bands, though.
Right. It was. I guess it was more of. I guess in terms of being more of an inspiration to those that are trying to start up in the performance space.
Sure.
Like how do you rate it compared to when you started off?
Interesting.
Like where is the space now?
I mean, I think that there's always room for arts, right? There's always room for arts. I think sometimes it's a matter of finding out what's missing in an area, and if you can tailor what you're wanting to do to fill that niche, I think that that's a great way to approach it, because you can oversaturate an area, right? Where you don't need 5 different community marching bands, because right, they all satisfy that same need, and they can all probably function as one unique thing. So that can be tough, but I do think that there is opportunity for people when it is accessible, and so making something that like ours that is no audition. You don't need to show us that you're good enough. You don't need to show us that you've got previous experience. Automatically makes people feel more at ease, right? So people are less likely to say, "Oh well, I mean, I could never do that. I could never be in that group." I mean, even if they probably could, right? Their own version of their ability is going to preclude them from being involved. So, if you're wanting to create art in the area, performing arts, making it open to anybody, I think is the right first step, right?
Absolutely.
Just because you're casting a wider net, but you're also speaking to a much higher percentage of the population, right? You're not making it feel exclusive, which is, I think, really important. And I think it's a big part of why our groups have been and continue to be successful, and it continues to be people asking for them in their communities, because they don't have something like that.
I love that everything seems to come back to being altruistic, some of philanthropy. You mentioned some of the charities that you support. Can you speak more on those?
Yeah, so again, without getting too in the weeds, each one of our locations for every concert picks a local to them charity, and by that I mean not the local affiliate of a national cause, but a local grassroots homegrown charitable organization to support at their concert, by way of now a basket raffle of some sort. Sometimes it's a 50-50 raffle, usually it's a basket raffle, traditional raffle, and 100% of raffle ticket proceeds at that concert goes to that charity. They're nominated by the members of that choir. People are suggesting charities that they know. The director and a little team of us in the central office will vet them to make sure that they satisfy the requirements, which is ultimately that they are a nonprofit, right? We're supporting a nonprofit. We raise money across the organization at all of these concerts, and it's another way for us to turn it all back around and connect with the local community. So we have a representative of that organization that comes and talks at the concert. Some of our locations are able to get donor matches from area businesses to help support those charities. I think in 2024, Rock Voices as a whole raised over $100,000 for charities across all of our locations. We're on target, I think, this season to raise over 200 across the organization. Albany and Saratoga have been around for 7 or 8 years each, and both of those locations now have raised at least $50,000 for charity since they existed, since they started. And so this year at our concerts, we've got 2 Life in Saratoga. We're supporting 2life.org, and then Things of My Very Own in the Albany location. And they're both organizations that support people in the community who are affected by major health risk, either in their household or themselves personally, or people that are in a position to not have whatever it is they might need in their life, and so we're able to help those groups out. And it's all super feel good stuff, right? It's another one of those things that just makes me feel reinforces that I'm in the right place.
No, that's actually the thing I want to go on, because I remember earlier you were saying where you gave us the example when you start off with 17 people, and now we're talking about 8 years down the line, you have the Albany and the Saratoga things, but bring it down to the Nate of it all of did you the Nate of it all? Did you see one is one of those things where you saw you had that special moment, do you see it going this far, or is it every moment's a little bit different? But just I can understand that this would be kind of a pivot, but organizing that many people, or getting to the idea of organizing this, or finding the band members or grouping together is one of those things. Like my pop said earlier, it's it sounds almost magical, but it's a lot of hard work. But at the same time, there's you are curating community. Is there anything that you feel like you've learned in that journey, or just what's that? You know what I mean?
I think the thing that I learned almost right away was that I could count on the people involved in my groups to champion this cause on their own. And so my groups and a lot of our groups have really become sort of self-sustaining organisms that I don't, no longer do I have to encourage my members to do things or reach out and say, don't forget to bring your friends, or don't forget to tell people about the concert. It's built in. They know that is sort of part of the process, so that these groups, after a very short amount of time, took on a life of their own. And while I don't know if I ever saw where we are now, every time there was a leap in a new direction, it made me realize, so there's more. We're here now. There's inevitably more than that. What's next? Where do we go from there? Which has been really fun to see that happen with, truthfully, minimal effort from me. I have this group of people that I can just count on.
That's cool.
To do this thing for me, and as long as I'm prepared and not embarrassing myself in rehearsal, which sometimes I totally do by not knowing my music or whatever. As long as I'm prepared and giving them what they want, which is a fun Monday night or Tuesday night learning music, then the group is going to continue to sort of climb in this direction.
I want to say before I pass on, I also almost can't get over how wholesome all this is, and I don't mean that way.
No,
one of those things where it's I asked her, I want to know the direction, the story, and the heart of the answer was just trust, and I'm like, that's cool.
I know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Really good.
I guess jumping off of my brother's question, if there is the post of progress is always moving forward, and I understand that much, but is there a particular goalpost that you are looking for?
I don't think so. These groups are, like I said, if they're going to achieve what they were intended to achieve, they've already done that, and they are going to continue to grow fits and bursts, maybe not super fast, maybe not super slow. I would love to be at a point where I'm having to find the next big performance venue because we've outgrown the place that we're in.
Beautiful problem.
I feel like we're getting close with these two groups here. I would love to see the experience that I've had as a leader of these two groups in the capital region. I would love to see the other directors in our organization have that same experience. And I am seeing a lot of them have that experience, and I'm seeing some of them still charting the path for themselves to get there, that I had to chart myself in the very beginning. And so one of my roles as director of growth and development in the Rock Voices organization is I serve as a liaison to the directors, to sort of, mentor feels like a weird word, it's not the right word, but to answer questions and to lend my experience to them in order to help them achieve, right? To have the success that I feel like I've had or been fortunate enough to have with my groups here. And then same thing as we bring in new directors in new locations to get them already rolling in that direction. Here's what you can expect, etc. I don't know if like I said, I think I've already gotten to where I would expect these groups or had hoped these groups would get, and everything else is gravy at this point, right? And they are growing, and we are discovering new wonderful things that we didn't realize that we were able to do with these groups in the capital region, so the big milestone for us is that we landed a show at the Hart Theater in the Egg, and we sold out the Egg.
Oh wow!
It's amazing. Like that was something I wouldn't have thought was possible, right? With a ragtag group of 17 singers, right? And so the next step is I don't know. Is it the Palace, right? The Palace is quite a bit larger. So we'll talk. The Palace is a significantly larger room, right? And it's a room that wouldn't feel comfortable unless we had almost that many seats filled, right? Anything less than that will feel empty in a big room, right? So it's a calculated decision to move into a new space because you have to know that you're not going to feel underwhelmed by the, how much of the audience you fill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah,
Well, we got about 9 minutes left, and I do have 3 questions that I want to put together.
Okay.
The last one is going to
struggled with 5.
Well, I'm gonna separate. The last one is our hard-hitting question that is normally asked as an icebreaker.
Journalism.
By my son, and I'm gonna put in there. But that one's hard-hitting in terms of. First of all, I don't think we asked about the age ranges. How old do you have to be?
Yeah, so you have to be an adult. So you technically have to be 18. The exception is that if you are a member and you have a child or in your life that is a minor, but only within a year or two, 16 or 17, there is a responsibility on the adult in that family to be there and present when that other person, the person is there. But we consider ourselves 18 and up, adult group. Median age across, I think, our organization is probably 45 to 70. Some older, and then some younger, and we're seeing little bursts of a younger crew coming in where we have some folks in their mid-20s or 30s, which has been really fun, because when we start doing music by Beck, people are like, yeah, I love Beck, and then everybody else like, I don't know what and then the opposite when we're doing some the ad-libs show up and everybody's like, but then there's 5 people that are like, I love that song, I danced to that song right at my prom or whatever. So but yeah, I think adult to senior is kind of where we tend to skew.
Part 2, are there any upcoming events that you'd like to plug? Because by the time you see this, it's quite possible an event might have passed, but something further down the line that people can get in on.
Sure.
That you.
Like you said, so we have a couple of concerts coming up that this release may be after that, but they were middle of August in the capital region. our new season, our fall season, starts up across our whole organization in the last few days of September and the beginning of October. So 29th of September through the 2nd of October, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Choirs all over the Northeast are launching their season. So there will be 34 locations, including 2 new New York State, 2 new New York State locations. No, sorry, yes, 2. Sorry, one out by Utica in New Hartford, and then one down in Cornwall and Hudson, down near the city.
All right. Well, Nate, this is the last question. This is the hard-hitting, hard journalism question. It's going to pierce your soul.
Hot dog is not a sandwich.
No, well, write that down, because I still the debate is still out on that.
Well, we're getting close, but I will say, because we said it's so hard hitting, there is no wrong answer. But if you happen to answer wrong, I will judge you.
Okay.
Do you like waffles?
I love waffles.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the only right answer.
There you go. That's the answer.
All right.
And here's my thing. And here's why it is. My only thing is that, of course, you like waffles because you're a good person. You don't like waffles are evil, and that's a fact. Don't look it up.
This is aggressive.
Good job.
We did promise you no gotcha questions, but we're glad that you answered correctly. This has been delightful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am so thrilled. And then I hate to always come back. We're living in tumultuous times.
Sure.
Where even things that are good and kind and perfect and sweet, they're like waffles indeed, are looked at as unimportant, or it's looked at as being problematic. When you're being good and doing a nice thing, some people think of it as weakness. And it's like that. Love, my God forbid you say, I do this, for love. People look at you like you're a weirdo.
Right.
But we have to take the power back in that which is good, that which is love, that which is kindness. So I thank you for being one of the warriors on the battlefield of love. And it's because we need spaces for everyone, and creating those spaces, because you do music. There may be someone out there that deals with art. When I say painting, or there are people that do this. I don't know. Maybe there's a version of rock voices that's dealing with mechanics. I don't know. There are people that find these places and these, but I thank you for being one of the people that have noticed what's or participate with that gap that needs to be filled.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Um,
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and hit all the buttons.
All right. Well, okay. That's it. We got 2 minutes. Real quick, fellas. Anything last statements, and then we'll close out. Anything?
No sour notes in this conversation.
Sour notes.
But thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Hope to have you again on another episode.
Yeah. You've been no treble at all. Oh, you got one.
Bass tone.
That's the height of comedy here. That's it.
Yeah, I get it.
But thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for being here for this episode of Various Fields, where we've been with our friend Nate Altimari from Rock Voices. We thank all of you for tuning in, and please make your comments, talk about the things that you've liked about this, and participate with us back here, and be back here next week for Various Fields. We thank you all for being here. Thank you, Nate.
See you on the next one.
We'll have a link to Rock Voices in the description below.